a short story, and I would like to dedicate this to my mother. It started with a smile. Her mother first noticed it and thought something must be done. "Come here, Amy, I want to show you something." Amy had run from the kitchen after hanging up the phone, laughing at a joke when her mother's voice stopped her. "Show me what?" she called from the other room. "You need to come in here to see it." "See what?" Amy said with her back still to the door. "You have to see it for me to show it to you, don't you?" her mother said teasingly, but with an exasperation that after a whiny, "What for?" she just got angry. "Come here this instant, young lady." Amy sighed. She could not stand being called young lady. It sounded so old and doting the way it dripped off her mother's tongue. And then there was something else to it, as if she were responsible for something, as if there were expectations of her, when all Amy really thought of herself was a 13-year-old kid without boobs and social studies homework due, and a pimple that just changed spots on her face. Her mother waited, arms crossed, as Amy popped her head through the door. "What?" Amy said. She was going to have to do something about that attitude, she thought, but it might just work. "What do you want?" "I want you to drop that attitude," her mother eyeballed her. "And look at this." Amy stepped cautiously in the room, weary of her mother's chastising attention and sudden appraising eye, while her mother slid a piece of paper across the table and said, "I think you should do it," with an enthusiasm that made Amy decide not to before even picking up the pamphlet to read, "Be the belle of the ball." A picture of a smiling girl in a turquoise dress with off-the-shoulder ruffles, puffed up hair, and a mask of makeup stared at her. Amy stared back. What am I to do with this? Amy looked in confusion at her mother, whose way too eager, plastered-on smile was way too similar to the girl in the turquoise dress. "Apply," her mother said forcefully through the smile. "To what?" "The Miss Kentucky contest, silly. I know you can read." Her mother hoped that she'd try out, given how talented her daughter was, though she couldn't sing or play the piano or any instrument for that matter, and had only taken about a year of ballet when really young and couldn't possibly form a dance routine from it, let alone remember which foot went where in a plie. Neither could she, though she tried, having once given herself a concussion, twirl about and throw batons or whistle a full tune. She was athletic and loved basketball and was the best on the girls' team at recess with kickball, and she outran any of the boys in her class, but none of those things brought out her more feminine charms. She was well-spoken when not shy, but around even those people her family knew, she clammed up. She helped her mother in the kitchen, but since her mother couldn't cook and had no desire to learn, Amy didn't know how either. She read well, quickly, and with a passion for a story, but to watch someone on stage, no matter how easy on the eyes, go through a copy of Moby Dick had to be exceedingly boring. And that was the thing. The girl was smart. Needed to be smart, for her own reasons, if only to navigate safer waters. And though she was pretty, having taken her mother's features, there was nothing of an exhibitionist about her. She preferred being behind the curtains to standing center stage, though her mother knew well enough she wasn't an audience. "Well, what do you think?" "What do you think I think?" "I think you can win. And I think it doesn't matter." "But Amy, people respond to you." "Yeah, when I ask them questions." Amy had a hope of being witty when she was older. Her mother frowned. "Come on, Amy, this is important. I thought you'd be interested." The only response her mother got was the ticking of the cuckoo clock, the only response Amy thought necessary. This was uncomfortable, like the time her friend dared her to ask her father what 69 meant, and she had called up the stairs, Stacy laughing on the phone, until she heard her father's gruff voice, "It's a sexual term, don't use it," and hung up. Amy had hoped that Stacy thought she was joking, home alone with no one to hear, but by the time she made it to school the next day, Stacy told everyone that she had asked her parents obscene questions and didn't know what 69 meant, and of all the girls in the class. That was what hurt the most, whatever the "of all" meant. "Well, I thought you'd be interested," her mother said with disappointment, and again Amy felt like she wasn't let in on something. Her mother having dismissed her for the dishes, Amy felt let down. Or that she let her mother down, which left her down. No matter the reason, Amy suddenly agreed. "Okay, Mom, if you think so." Her mother, in the excitement, clapped her hands and, giving her a quick hug, rushed past her to the phone, leaving Amy standing shell-shocked. Amy walked outside, sat down in a slump on the stoop, her mother's voice in her head. "Your smile is contagious. People respond to you." She thought for a brief moment her mother might be right. She smiled at the neighbor next door, a plastic glued-on grin, a mimic of the picture, but he just looked confused and with a quick grimace went back to his gardening. She turned to the old lady walking down the street, her expression unchanged, but the woman grumbled, "What are you up to?" and moved away as if her contagiousness was more a deadly disease than a motivating happiness. This wasn't working. Amy needed to prepare.